What you're about to discover about friendship after 70 may explain why you've been feeling increasingly isolated, but it doesn't have to stay this way. The quiet truth many don't discuss is that our social circles naturally contract as we age, yet few understand just how profound an impact this has on our well-being. Did you know that the quality of your friendships at this stage can impact your longevity as much as quitting smoking? Research from Brigham Young University found that strong social connections can increase your chances of survival by up to 50%, comparable to the effects of quitting tobacco. Yet many of us are making critical friendship mistakes without realizing it. The landscape of connection changes dramatically after 70. The workplace relationships that once structured our social lives disappear. Friends move away to be closer to family or into care facilities. Some pass away, and suddenly, what was once a vibrant social network becomes increasingly sparse. This transition happens so gradually that many don't recognize it until the silence becomes deafening. Today, I'm sharing 6 friendship mistakes I've seen countless older adults regret, and more importantly, how you can avoid them for a richer, more connected life in your golden years. These insights come not just from research, but from the lived experiences of thousands of seniors who have navigated this terrain before you. Take a moment to consider your current satisfaction with your friendships. Do you feel truly connected? Are your relationships nourishing you emotionally and intellectually? Or has a certain loneliness crept in, so slowly you barely noticed its arrival? While medical professionals rarely prescribe it, friendship might be the most powerful medicine available to you now. The research is unequivocal. Strong social bonds fundamentally transform the aging experience at both physiological and psychological levels. A landmark study in the Journal of Gerontology discovered that older adults with strong friendships were 22% less likely to develop dementia, regardless of family relationships. Let that sink in. Your friends protect your brain in ways your family alone cannot. Another study from the University of Michigan found that seniors with active friendships had significantly lower levels of inflammation throughout their bodies, a key marker for countless age-related conditions. What makes friendship uniquely powerful is how it engages multiple health-promoting mechanisms simultaneously. When you laugh with a friend, stress hormones like cortisol decrease while your body releases endorphins. When you share a meaningful conversation, your parasympathetic nervous system activates, lowering blood pressure and heart rate. When you feel understood by someone who isn't obligated to care for you, your sense of worth and identity strengthens in ways that significantly impact resilience. These benefits extend to cognitive function as well. Regular social engagement creates what neuroscientists call cognitive reserve, essentially extra neural capacity that helps your brain adapt and resist damage. Each conversation, each shared experience, each moment of connection literally builds this protective reserve. When was the last time you felt truly seen and heard by someone outside your family? This question matters because while family relationships provide vital support, they often come with established roles and expectations. Friendships offer a different kind of validation, one based on choice rather than obligation. The first critical error many make after 70 is treating friendship attrition as inevitable rather than preventable. There's a neurological basis for why maintaining friendships requires more intentionality after 70. Our brains become more selective with social energy, and without the structures that previously supported regular contact, connections begin to fade. Research shows that after retirement, the average person loses 3 to 5 significant social connections per year unless they actively maintain them. This isn't merely about having fewer people to talk to. It represents a profound loss of emotional support, cognitive stimulation, and identity reinforcement. What many don't realize is that friendship maintenance requires a fundamentally different approach in later years. The spontaneous connections that once happened naturally through work, raising children, or community involvement now need deliberate cultivation. Without this intentionality, even decades-long relationships can quietly fade away. The solution is what gerontologists call friendship scheduling, treating social connection with the same priority as your health appointments. Just as you wouldn't miss a doctor's visit, creating a connection calendar where you systematically reach out to friends becomes essential. This isn't about obligation, but rather recognizing that meaningful relationships require consistent attention. Perhaps the most limiting belief about friendship after 70 is that your social circle should consist primarily of age peers. While shared, generational experiences create natural bonds. Research reveals extraordinary benefits to intergenerational friendships that many seniors never experience. Studies from Stanford Center on Longevity show that older adults with friends across 3 generations report 60% higher levels of life satisfaction. These cross-age friendships provide unique cognitive benefits by exposing you to different perspectives, communication styles, and cultural references, all of which strengthen neural pathways and enhance cognitive flexibility. Intergenerational relationships also create a powerful antidote to feeling irrelevant in a rapidly changing world. When you engage regularly with younger people who value your wisdom while simultaneously exposing you to new ideas, you maintain a vital connection to the evolving cultural landscape. Many seniors mistakenly believe these connections must happen through family, but research shows non-family intergenerational friendships often provide distinct benefits. These relationships lack the complex emotional history of family bonds, allowing for more straightforward exchanges of perspectives and mutual learning. When health limitations emerge, many make the counterproductive decision to withdraw socially, precisely when connection becomes most valuable. This retreat often stems from understandable concerns, not wanting to be a burden, difficulty navigating physical environments, or embarrassment about new limitations. However, this withdrawal creates a devastating cycle where isolation worsens health outcomes while connection would improve them. Research from the National Institute on Aging found that socially engaged older adults recovered from illnesses an average of 2 to 3 weeks faster than isolated individuals. More strikingly, seniors with strong social networks showed significantly better outcomes after major health events like strokes, heart attacks, and cancer treatments. The physiological mechanisms behind this are remarkable. Social connection activates immune function, reduces inflammation, improves sleep quality, and enhances medication adherence. Even more powerful is how friendship provides the emotional motivation that drives physical recovery. Having somewhere to go and someone to see creates purpose that can overcome tremendous physical challenges. Rather than withdrawing when health challenges emerge, successful aging requires adaptation. This doesn't mean pretending limitations don't exist, but rather finding new ways to maintain connection within your current capabilities. The most resilient seniors develop what researchers call selective optimization, focusing social energy on the relationships and activities that provide the greatest meaning, while finding creative ways to overcome barriers. Among the most common barriers to sustained connection after 70 is resistance to digital communication tools. While previous generations could maintain lifelong friendships through in-person visits and telephone calls alone, geographic dispersal of families and friends makes technology literacy increasingly vital for social connection. Research from AARP found that older adults who regularly use video calling technology report 31% less loneliness than non-users. This statistic becomes particularly significant when considering that many seniors' adult children and grandchildren live hundreds or thousands of miles away, and that peers often relocate for retirement, healthcare access, or to be near family. The hesitation around technology is understandable. Learning new digital tools can feel overwhelming. Interfaces are often designed without older users in mind, and concerns about privacy are legitimate. However, this reluctance creates a widening social gap precisely when connection becomes most crucial for cognitive and emotional health. What's most encouraging is that research shows seniors don't need comprehensive technical knowledge to reap social benefits. Mastering just one communication platform thoroughly, the pandemic revealed something remarkable. When necessity demanded it, millions of seniors successfully adopted digital communication. This widespread adaptation demonstrated that the barrier isn't capability, but often motivation and personalized instruction. Studies from the Center for Technology and Aging show that seniors who receive just 2-3 hours of personalized technology instruction maintain 80% higher digital engagement rates than those who attempt to learn independently. Perhaps the most subtle, yet profound friendship mistake after 70 is allowing relationships to remain perpetually superficial. After decades of life experience, many seniors find themselves surrounded by pleasant acquaintances, but few genuinely intimate connections where vulnerability and authentic sharing occur. The Harvard Adult Development Study, the world's longest-running research on happiness, discovered that it's not the number but the depth of relationships that predicts happiness in later years. Superficial socializing provides momentary pleasure, but lacks the profound health benefits that come from emotional intimacy and mutual support. This reluctance toward deeper connection often stems from generational norms about privacy, self-reliance, and emotional restraint. Many grew up in environments where discussing feelings openly was discouraged. Others fear burdening others with their authentic concerns. Yet research consistently shows that reciprocal vulnerability, the willingness to share your true self, and create space for others to do the same, creates the psychological safety that transforms casual friendships into life-sustaining bonds. The neurophysiology behind this is fascinating. When we engage in deep, meaningful conversation, our brains release oxytocin and serotonin, chemicals that reduce stress, enhance mood, and create feelings of trust and bonding. These hormonal responses appear especially beneficial for aging brains, helping to maintain cognitive function and emotional regulation. Moving beyond surface-level interaction doesn't require dramatic personal transformation. Research indicates that even small increases in conversational depth, moving beyond weather and health updates to sharing hopes, concerns, and meaningful memories, significantly strengthen relationship quality and provide greater emotional satisfaction. The final critical friendship mistake many make after 70 is allowing past disappointments to restrict future connections. After decades of life experience, most seniors have accumulated relationship wounds, friendships that ended painfully, trust that was betrayed, or expectations that went unmet. These experiences, while valid, often create invisible barriers to new connections, precisely when openness becomes most vital. Research from the Mayo Clinic shows that forgiveness reduces stress hormones by up to 47%, with particularly strong effects after age 65. This isn't just about emotional well-being. These hormonal changes directly impact cardiovascular health, immune function, and chronic pain. Put simply, holding on to relational grudges creates a physiological burden your body can increasingly ill afford. What makes this mistake particularly insidious is how automatically protective patterns engage without conscious awareness. Many seniors report declining social invitations or maintaining emotional distance in relationships without realizing. They're responding to past hurts rather than present opportunities. This protective distancing, while understandable, creates a self-reinforcing cycle where fewer meaningful connections lead to increasing isolation. Breaking this pattern requires what psychologists call narrative reconstruction, revisiting painful social experiences, not to deny their impact, but to integrate them into a larger life story where growth remains possible. This isn't about naive optimism or forcing forgiveness, but rather recognizing that past relationship disappointments need not determine future connection possibilities. The scientific understanding of friendship's impact in later life has expanded dramatically in recent decades. What was once considered merely a pleasant aspect of aging is now recognized as a fundamental determinant of health outcomes, cognitive preservation, and quality of life. This shift represents one of gerontology's most important developments. Research from Blue Zones, regions with the world's highest concentrations of centenarians, reveals daily social interaction as a consistent pattern among those who live longest. In Okinawa, Japan, the traditional moai system ensures that no one ages in isolation. In Sardinia, Italy, multi-generational social engagement remains integrated into daily rhythms. In Loma Linda, California, community gatherings create regular connection opportunities. These diverse cultural practices share a common thread. They prioritize relationship continuity across the lifespan. A groundbreaking 10-year longitudinal study demonstrated that, after 70, relationship quality decisively outweighs quantity in health impact. Participants with even a small number of close confiding relationships showed significantly better cognitive outcomes, lower rates of depression, and fewer chronic health conditions than those with larger but more superficial social networks. Most encouraging is neuroscience research showing enhanced brain plasticity with meaningful social interactions among older adults. Using functional MRI technology, researchers observed that intellectually and emotionally engaging conversations activated multiple brain regions simultaneously, creating neural pathways that help compensate for age-related changes. This suggests that quality social engagement isn't merely enjoyable, it's actively protective for brain health. The emerging evidence demonstrates conclusively that friendship isn't a luxury, but a biological necessity as we age. Our brains and bodies evolve to function optimally in connection with others, and this fundamental need doesn't diminish with time. If anything, it becomes more essential. Knowledge alone rarely creates lasting change. Implementation is where transformation happens. This structured 4-week approach breaks down the sometimes overwhelming process of rebuilding and strengthening friendships into manageable steps that build upon each other. The journey begins with honest evaluation. Research from the University of Chicago shows that most people misjudge their current friendship landscape, either overestimating their social connection or failing to recognize existing opportunities. This first week focuses on gaining clarity about where you stand currently. Start by creating a friendship inventory, a simple assessment of your existing social connections, categorized by closeness, frequency of contact, and mutual satisfaction. This isn't about quantity, but understanding the quality and nature of your current relationships. Many discover they've been investing energy in unfulfilling relationships while neglecting potentially rewarding ones. Next comes the reconnection phase. Identify 3 to 5 previously meaningful relationships that have faded not due to conflict, but through circumstance or neglect. Research from the University of Michigan shows that rekindling dormant friendships is often easier than forming entirely new ones because the foundation of shared history already exists. The key to successful reconnection isn't grand gestures but authentic outreach. A simple message acknowledging the gap in communication while expressing genuine interest in reconnecting is remarkably effective. Studies show that we consistently overestimate the awkwardness of reaching out, while underestimating how positively others respond to being remembered. End this first week with reflection. What patterns do you notice in which friendships have endured versus faded? What qualities do your most satisfying relationships share? This awareness creates the foundation for more intentional connection moving forward. Week 2, Expanding Horizons. With a clearer understanding of your current social landscape, the second week focuses on expanding possibilities, particularly across generational lines and into new social contexts. This isn't about collecting acquaintances, but strategically creating opportunities for meaningful connections. Research consistently shows that the most effective way to build new relationships after 70 isn't through forced socializing, but through what sociologists call engineered spontaneity, creating regular situations where connections can develop naturally around shared interests or activities. The key is identifying engagement opportunities aligned with your authentic interests, values, and schedule constraints. Studies from Cornell University reveal that seniors who participate in purpose-driven social activities, whether volunteer, work, this week also focuses on developing what psychologists call weak tie awareness, recognizing potential friendship opportunities in your peripheral social connections. The barista who always remembers your order, the neighbor who shares your interest in gardening, the distant relative who enjoys similar books. These connections often contain untapped friendship potential. For intergenerational connection, research shows the most successful approach centers around skill exchange rather than forced interaction. When relationships form through mutual teaching and learning, whether technology skills, craft techniques, or life wisdom, they develop greater substance and satisfaction for both participants. Week 3. Deepening connections. With foundation work complete, the third week focuses on transforming promising connections into genuinely meaningful relationships through conversational depth and appropriate vulnerability. This process requires both skill and courage, but yields the most significant rewards. Communication research identifies what's called the progressive disclosure pattern as particularly effective. This approach involves gradually increasing conversational depth through thoughtful questions and reciprocal sharing. Rather than remaining perpetually in small talk or jumping immediately to inappropriate intimacy, this balanced approach allows trust to develop naturally. Practical implementation involves mastering what psychologists call generous listening, the ability to create psychological safety through attentive, non-judgmental presence. Studies show that feeling genuinely heard activates reward centers in the brain similar to those triggered by physical pleasure or meaningful achievement. This week also addresses barriers to depth like conversational narcissism, excessive focus on one's own experiences, and toxic positivity, refusing to acknowledge difficulties. Research shows that relationships deepen most effectively when both challenges and joys are shared authentically. The goal isn't becoming someone you're not, but rather removing the unnecessary filters that prevent genuine connection. Studies from the University of California find that authenticity, being known and accepted for who you truly are, becomes increasingly important for psychological well-being after 70. The final week focuses on transforming individual actions into sustainable patterns that support lifelong connection. This involves creating systems rather than relying on willpower or sporadic effort. Research consistently shows that friendship maintenance requires what sociologists call relationship rituals, regular anticipated points of connection that create continuity and shared identity. Whether weekly phone calls, monthly gatherings, or annual traditions, these rituals provide structure for ongoing connection even when life circumstances change. This sustainability approach must account for inevitable challenges, health fluctuations, energy limitations, and competing priorities. The most successful friendship strategies after 70 incorporate what psychologists call resilient flexibility, clear intentions combined with adaptable implementation. The week concludes with creating a personalized friendship sustainability plan that outlines specific maintenance strategies for different relationship categories. This isn't a rigid schedule, but rather a thoughtful framework that ensures your most valued connections receive the attention they deserve. While research provides important guidance, sometimes the most powerful motivation comes from seeing others successfully navigate similar challenges. Across the country, seniors are creating inspiring new models of connection that defy stereotypes about friendship in later life. Consider the transformation of a retirement community in Arizona, where residents challenge the superficial socializing typical of such environments. Through a structured program they called Beyond Hello, residents moved systematically from acquaintanceship to genuine community. Monthly gatherings featured guided conversations that grew progressively deeper, transforming a collection of strangers into a supportive network, where authentic sharing became the norm rather than the exception. Or the Wisdom Collective in Minnesota, a group of seniors who recognized their valuable knowledge was going untapped. They formed partnerships with local schools, businesses, and community organizations to share their expertise while forming meaningful connections across generations. What began as occasional mentoring evolved into deep bonds that enriched lives on both. Particularly inspiring are stories of friendship innovation among those facing significant health challenges. The Voice-to-Voice program connects seniors with limited mobility via regular phone conversations structured around meaningful topics rather than complaints or small talk. Participants report these calls often become the highlight of their week, providing intellectual stimulation and emotional connection despite physical limitations. The impact of your friendship choices extends far beyond your immediate experience. Research increasingly shows that how you engage socially in your later years creates ripple effects that influence younger generations and shape community norms around aging and connection. Studies show that grandchildren of socially active older adults are 38% more likely to value deep friendships themselves. They internalize powerful messages about the lifelong importance of connection by observing their elders, actively nurturing relationships rather than withdrawing into isolation. Communities with strong integration of seniors in social activities demonstrate measurably lower rates of isolation across all age groups. When older adults remain visibly engaged in meaningful connection, they challenge pervasive stereotypes about aging as a time of inevitable withdrawal and loneliness. Perhaps most importantly, your friendship choices contribute to cultural narratives about what's possible in later life. When you actively cultivate rich relationships, particularly across generational lines, you help create new models of aging that emphasize continued growth rather than decline. The question becomes not just what friendships bring to your life, but what legacy of connection you wish to leave. What stories about relationship and community do you want the next generation to tell about you? How might your example inspire others to approach their own aging with greater intention around friendship? This isn't just about avoiding regret. It's about embracing the tremendous richness available when you open the door to authentic connection at any age.